Have you heard of microchip shortage? Due to the pandemic, it is actually severely impacting the whole automotive market with limited new car supplies, which means if you want to buy a new car right now, it is absolutely not a good time for you.
What happened with the pandemic specifically was that you had a shutdown in production of microchips, so that hurt all the industries. But then, even as it came back, there was this shift from people being basically staying home more and some of them being kind of trapped in their houses and all, or just feeling like they couldn't go out as much. So they purchased more home-based technologies, more laptops, more gaming consoles, even more cell phones. So personal electronics and computers became more popular and had higher volume, while the rest of the industries like car sales had been down because people weren't buying cars, they were economic concerns. Then the car sales shot back up once people started going out of their house again, because a lot of them didn't want to use public transportation anymore for obvious reasons. So you had car sales drop drastically and then come charging back. But in the meantime, you'd had a lot of the chip allocation shift from cars to these personal electronics. So you had a bad combination on both sides. You had an increase in demand for microchips in cars, and you had a decrease in microchip supply, shifting from cars to other industries. And so that's what caused this massive shortage of chips for vehicles and for automotive purposes in a relatively short time. So this is a global issue. We're seeing it in the US in the car side. That's the kind of most obvious thing. But even like getting Apple products, it's potentially going to take longer depending on when you want to order an Apple product. Gaming consoles, there's been a constant backlog of people who want the newest Xbox and PlayStation versus how available they are. So it's really happening in all the industries, and it's happening in all the countries, not just the US.
As we can see, microchip shortage is not a regional issue, specifically in the United States. It is actually a global problem that makes people worldwide also suffer a lot.
When I came to Shanghai General Motor Company, just when the crisis started, firstly, my salary get decreased because of chips crisis. We can't produce as much quantity as before. Talking about my working hours also decreased. I have fluctuated working days because of when we run out of chips, we just shut down our plants and employees just stay at home. We just produce when we have chips. When chips coming, we start to move. Another one, the price of the vehicles just grow higher and higher. That's the fact because of many costs raised. The chips cost and the transforming of the cost, and also many other supplier chain costs. In our company, we just use two regions chips. One is from Japan, another is from Taiwan, but many chip plants in Taiwan and Japan just shutting down because of the epidemic. We also have the price competition between other companies. We even will buy 20 times of the original value of one chip than before in order to get more chips so that other companies can't get the chips. This is another competition in this market.
But the thing is, are people truly being intimidated by this gigantic conception? Do they stop purchasing or leasing a car due to the high prices? Let's hear what they say.
So actually I was not infected that much than the local people. Because for local people, they might need to use the car for several years, like lease a car for 3 years, and leasing a car might not be that cost efficient for them. But for me, I'm just an international student. I might just stay here for 1 year, and buying a car is not a good option for me. So leasing a car for just 1 year, maybe just $4,000, and I also don't need to pay attention to something like the car maintenance, and I think it's a desirable choice for me.
The price is only one factor, and there are tons of other reasons that will affect you to make a decision. And especially for the international students, I think having a car will give you more freedom. Like you can go to Costco or Target, some supermarket. You can live here without a car, but you can live better here with a car.
It seems like people still find it affordable to lease a car more than purchasing one. But one thing we should know is that customers are always the ones who pay the prices. No matter how the industries and the car dealers suffer, they will eventually ask more money back from their customers.
There's the manufacturer's suggested retail price, and the average dealer is asking on average 11% more than that to sell the car. So that shows an increase in pricing on new cars. And then used cars, we're seeing approximately a 30% increase in prices compared to a year earlier, which is huge, obviously.
For example, in our car company, people if want to buy Buick, Cadillac, and Chevrolet, on average, they should wait around 3 months to get ideal car because we often shut down because of the chip shortage. We shut down our plants around 1 to 2 weeks per month.
What happens is people go to a lot to buy a new car, and because of the microchip shortage, that car isn't there. It's not available at all. And then there's a used car sitting there that might be 1 or 2 years old, but it's used, but it's there and it's ready to go. And the dealer can ask more than the new car price would have been simply because there's that used car exists and can be purchased today and people want it right now versus having to order the new car and waiting 2 months, 3 months, 7 months to get their new car. So they take the used one because that's their only option, even if they have to pay more than they would for the new version of the same car. Instead of spending, $5,000, $7,000 more for the new car, you'll get a lease for a 3-year time frame based on that $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 higher price, but that increased cost will be spread out over those 36 months of the lease. But yeah, you'll pay more for the lease too for the same reasons.
Is this going to end? Or the shortage problem can last forever as long as we are staying with the pandemic?
There's been discussion of producing chips in North America, which we haven't done for a long time, but there's talk of bringing that back into the U.S., into the domestic land here and making them on this continent. And then, of course, it'll be growing in other continents too, where there's demand. Over the next 1 to 2 years, we'll see global chip production increase, and it should help address a lot of these issues. But until that happens, we're kind of stuck.